All right. Let's go ahead and get this party started. So great to have everyone here. Oh, my Lord. Rex, I don't think I've ever worn pink before. Shocker. I like it. I sort of like the pink. I like the pink. Hey, great to have everybody here today. We are blessed, as I say every week, to be here, to get to hear an amazing personality today in Holly Rowe, one of the most accomplished broadcasters, sports broadcasters in the history of the game. I mean, she is one of the best. So funny, you guys know I try to do my homework on all of our speakers when I do our Q&A, and so I've watched hours of interviews with Holly and read them and all that, and so I think, Holly, one of the interviews, they said if there was one word to describe you, what would it be? Do you remember what you said? She said fun. She said fun. Let me tell you, when she gets up here, you're going to see why she said that. She is a blast, such a classy act, and the fact that she drove after all day covering the LSU Texas A&M game. The game didn't get over until 10 o'clock at night, didn't go to bed till midnight. Her flight was supposed to be at 5:45, so she was going to get up at 3 o'clock. They postponed it because of weather. She goes, okay, I'll just stay in Baton Rouge all day instead of staying in Little Rock all day. She waits and waits. She goes, you know what? Maybe I should just go ahead and start driving. So she rents a car, drives 6 hours up here. Glad she did because her flight was postponed again. How about that? That was her effort to get here today. So I can't wait to get her up on stage. You guys are going to love her. I don't know how many of you were here last week, but how about Kelly Finglass last week of the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders? Wow. Outstanding. She was really, really good. And I'm going to tell you what, she and her group, her posse, if you will, of her husband and brother, husband and son, and his girlfriend and several others, they could not believe it. They walked away and goes, they really did. They go, we cannot believe this is in Little Rock, Arkansas. That's what she said. She was blown away by the hospitality, by the efficiency in which we run the club and everything. So that's a tribute to all of you and all of our sponsors, that somebody who's at the highest level, the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders. Also, Jimmy Johnson said the same thing. He said, David, man, you guys know how to run the show down there. Very impressive. So compliment to all of you guys for doing what you do and being here and giving the energy for our guests each week. Next week, we have Greg Sankey. So, you know, what we do, Holly, since we started this club 21 years ago, we have the SEC commissioners about every 5 years. So we'll have him next week. We'll be back at the DoubleTree. Just it'll be a Tuesday, and the reason why he requested Tuesday. So we hate to keep changing Monday and Tuesday, but that's what we have to do sometimes to get our speakers. So Tuesday at the DoubleTree next week. Thank you, Rex. Well, I didn't even mention, how about Rex becoming an honorary Dallas Cowboy cheerleader last week? Holly, she was so impressed with Rex's enthusiasm, she gave him pom-poms. I think the post had 20,000 views on it for, yeah, so his wife Melissa said he slept with those pom-poms, those Dallas Cowboy cheerleader pom-poms last week. Next up, we want to make sure, I want to say, just, you know, so every week, we've been doing this for the last few years, Holly, and we'll do this with you. We asked our speakers to give us their opinion of what the visit was like to come to Little Rock. So if you could, Anita, this is just from 4 or 5 of our speakers this year, including our good friend Lawrence Taylor, who the agent asked me to make sure he had a couple glasses of fun stuff, if you will. You'll be able to tell this, but let's check out some of our comments from some of our previous speakers.
Little Rock Touchdown Club. The response by the people, I mean, I don't know how many people, it looked like 1,000 out there, but they were so receptive, and I really appreciate that. And it brought back memories. I got to see a few players that I coached and some friends from past years. Just a great experience for me to come back and be a Razorback again.
I'm going to tell you what, I really enjoyed it. Who would think that in Arkansas, where most people don't even know what Arkansas is, would have an outing like this and guys get together and fellowship? And I tell you what, I am shocked and surprised. Love it. I'll be back.
like it a little right
Hey,
now.
look, this was great. You know, I was just mentioning how incredible this is, and to hear that you guys do this 15 times a year, it's unreal, man. I mean, look, I've been to a lot. I've been to a lot of these. This is absolutely the best, no doubt about that.
I knew it would be a pretty impressive deal, but it blew me away. Great people, great fans. This is why the University of Arkansas has a chance to be a great football program, to continue to be a great football program. Go find a coach who will come in here and be supported by the university, and you'll recruit the players.
This day's been special, from literally landing in an airplane and then starting to see Little Rock, and you could feel the energy in the room the minute I walked in. David's a man that does not take no for an answer, that's for sure, because I'm in the middle of my football season and kind of couldn't find the time to get here, but I'm so glad I did. I have, this is where my grandparents are from, and my heart's been touched today. So I'm just really happy that I was able to do this. I feel blessed, and definitely if I could give everybody in this room a set of pom-poms, I'd tell them to come to the Cowboys game. We need this kind of spirit. It's been great.
How about that? Very nice. Very nice. So Holly, so you saw the Lawrence Taylor. You got that right. That was a double whiskey and a double scotch by 11 o'clock that morning. I told his agent, don't ever suggest that again, please. But that's okay. We're so glad that you're here to be a part of it. And again, that gives you a feel of what's happening here in our club. Let's go ahead and give up our pop-up winners for Kelly Finn Glass. I know a lot of people bought chances to win this thing, and hope somebody will be very excited. The number is, look at your ticket, 042189. 042189. Oh, look at there, young lady. Very nice, very nice. Congratulations. We'll get it after the meeting. Very nice. Do want to thank Rockstar Passes for doing our pop-ups each week. That's really fun, and love it when a young lady is here to take advantage of that. Very nice. I also want to thank Steve Qualls. You saw the cool shirts we're wearing. We're wearing this really in honor of Holly, even though this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, but she's been in a long, much chronicled battle against cancer, skin cancer, but doesn't matter. It is a battle against cancer. So all of our volunteers and so many of us are wearing pink shirts in honor of her. But thanks to Steve Qualls from Design Labs, you can go online to the Touchdown Club and you can get these kind of shirts, sweatshirts, hats, you name it. Steve is here today, and Steve, we've really got some cool designs that you need to check out and order those. We'd love to have you wearing those. All right, at this time, I want to bring up our the unofficial pastor of our Touchdown Club. He's the pastor of Pinnacle Church of Christ. Please give it up for Chuck Monin, everybody.
When all of us got to see the top secret lineup of the Touchdown Club speakers this year, Holly, we were most excited about having you over here. My wife actually came. She never comes to these things. But we have watched in our 40 years of marriage thousands and thousands of hours of games that this lovely lady has done. You're fantastic. Great that have you here in Little Rock today. Sorry you got to sit next to David. Let's pray together. Father, we're thankful for the food that you give us, for life itself, and for surrounding us with such good people in our lives. Father, we're thankful for the Touchdown Club and for the great friendships that are built here. We're thankful for the work that David and his team continually do. Father, we're thankful that Holly would be here today. We pray that you be with her and that you give her good health and give her perseverance in this battle against cancer that's been so inspiring. And Father, for all of those that are facing this dread disease, continue to be with them and bless them in a special way. And Father, because it's been requested, we ask that the next football coach that the Hogs hire is going to be the next Frank Broyles. And we pray that the next football coach that LSU hires is going to be the next Jerry DiNardo. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
He's one of a kind. He's one of a kind. I do want to thank every one of you who have bought memberships. If you have bought membership, this is your first time, it's really inexpensive. Even if you don't come back, it's just your way of supporting what we do. We do like to take pride in saying we're the best touchdown club in America. Paul Feinbaum has said it much. Peyton Manning, Brett Favre, Ray Lewis, Laura Rutledge, and others. And that's why we're so excited to have Holly today. Spent a couple years trying to track down Holly with her busy schedule. So if you're not a member, please go ahead and sign up, even if it's for next year. Just proud to have you as a Touchdown Club member. Want to remind everybody to mute your phones. If you can tell everybody they can listen to Holly and what we do today on the Buzz, 103.7 The Buzz, or Arkansas PBS is streaming this on all of our platforms, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Holly, no other touchdown club in America puts it out like we do to allow, even if you can't be here, for folks to see it. And then we'll post it on our website for folks to hear it in case they miss it and want to go back and watch it. Do want to thank our amazing sponsors, our presenting sponsors, Simmons Bank. Nina Castaldi is here with us today. Nina, thanks so much for being here. I know everybody who is with Simmons, raise your hand if you're with Simmons today. Raise your hand. What about the job they did this weekend with the Simmons Bank Championship at Pleasant Valley? Oh, my gosh. Congratulations to George Macris and Freddie Black. And it was really amazing. Holly, it's the senior tour, basically, what it is for PGA. And it's done out here at Pleasant Valley. And it was just weather, had a little bit of fog and those kind of things. But Rex, we were out there yesterday. Great job. Really proud of what it does. We were on the Golf Channel. So well done, Simmons Bank. We're so proud to have you as our presenting sponsor. Thank you so much. Our 12th year together. Stevens as well. Curtis Jeffries. He helped make the arrangements for Holly to stay here in Little Rock over next door at the Capitol Hotel. We appreciate Curtis and Warren Simpson, Kevin Scanlon. Of course, Warren Stevens is busy doing ambassador work. Thanks to Stevens and their sponsorship of the Simmons Bank Championship. Crane Automotive, always great to have the Crane guys and ladies here. Y'all are here every week. We appreciate y'all being there and being consistent. Thanks to Christian Crane, Chris Crane, and the Crane family and all the great employees over there. 19 dealerships across the state. Couldn't do it without you. Wright, Lindsay, and Jennings, been around 125 years, and so glad to have Judah Henry and all the amazing attorneys over at Wright, Lindsay, and Jennings. If you want to get an athlete in for this NIL stuff, call them. They can help you and guide you through if you want to try to do that. They're outstanding. Of course, they're the sponsor of the Cliff Harris Award over here to my left. Do you want to thank Oaklawn Sports? Somehow last week I missed Oaklawn Sports. I don't know how I did that last week. I'm not sure what I did, but my apologies there. I do want to thank Wayne Smith, who is here today. Where's Wayne at? There he is right there, the GM of Oaklawn. We were trying to tell Holly that we need to get Holly. She's never been to Oaklawn before. We got to get her over there. He's brought his son, Dylan, who is an aspiring broadcaster. And I'm just telling you, he will be a broadcaster one of these days. And Holly really gave him some good advice before she got up here about what he needs to be doing. I think it was very, very good. We'll forgive you if you go to Notre Dame. We'll forgive you for that. And his teacher, Miss J.C. Dodd, who is his broadcasting teacher over at Lakeside. She's here. Great to have her. And, of course, Kaylee McGee and Zach Gillum. Zach Gillum he's the one who takes all my picks this week. Much better. 3-0 in the NFL. If Kansas City wins, I'll be 4-0 tonight. So I'm making progress. I've been bad, but download the Oaklawn Sports app. Thanks to Oaklawn for their great support. Summerwood Sports. Can't say enough about the Hendricks family. And how about this, Holly? So David Hendricks Jr., his father-in-law, has never been to a touchdown club. His name is Dale Schimmel. But once he heard Holly Rowe was coming, we've been doing this for 21 years. He said, I'm going to make my first touchdown club appearance. So wherever you are, Dale, where is Dale at? So, Dale, thanks for being here. Appreciate you. She's a real deal. It will be worth your time today. I'm glad you came. And thanks to the Summerwood Sports family of the Hendricks. We appreciate them. Also, Double B, Steve Lytle, and Ed Light. Appreciate them. I think Taylor, their daughter's here today somewhere, and it's got somebody who wants to meet Holly after the show. But Double B's, we appreciate you. 34 locations across the state. Thanks to Double B's, been around a long time. Also, Sissy's Log Cabin, 54 years. And I think, Carlos, come on up. Carlos has a special little presentation that he wants to give to Holly. I would do it, but I don't know what this is called. So why don't you come up and do this real quick?
Well, I hope I know what's in this. But no, Holly, if you know the Jones family, Bill and Sherry, there's nothing more important than family. And while you're here in Arkansas, you're part of our family. But you're also you're so courageous and such an inspiration to people. We thought we'd gift you with this piece of Logos. It's pink caviar bracelet. Oh, wow. I'll let you just slide that off there.
Thank you. Oh my word. Oh my gosh.
I can help you put it
You wanna
on
help
here.
me?
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
And it's got the pink. Oh my gosh, thank you. Oh, that is so lovely.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right, we'll look for that on the sideline next week. Where's the game, by the way, Holly? What game do you have next week? This weekend? Oklahoma, Tennessee. So we'll be looking for that Lagos bracelet from Sissy's. Thank you to Sissy's. Appreciate that. Also want to thank Roller Funeral Homes, Renata Jenkins Byler. 26 years in a row, they have been awarded, and just recently awarded again, Best of the Best. Best of the Best, 26 years in a row. That's the Democrat Gazette, right? So thank you for them doing it right for all these years. They are the best. We appreciate them. The Hatcher Agency, always great to see the Hatcher Agency full. You guys always bring a full table. Maddie, were you here last week? So Maddie Hatcher got engaged last week. Let's give it up for Maddie Hatcher. Very nice. Happy for her, and I appreciate Greg and all the work he does with Hatcher Agency, Hatcher Capital Investment, Scoops, Twin City Limo, you name it, Finish Line RV. We appreciate all of them. Advantage Service Company, Kevin Brooks, Matt Bailey, One Call Does It All, residential and commercial sales and service for HVAC, electrical needs. Thank you, Kevin. Matt, we appreciate you. Simmons Bank Arena. I tell you, if anybody deserves our prayers today, it's Michael Marion. Where is he at? He's here today. So Michael he is a Mississippi State fan. And you saw what happened against Texas. They were up 17 in the fourth quarter. Should have won the game. An 80-yard punt return with a minute and a half. Listen, as a Razorback fan, we feel your pain. I'm just going to say that. We understand, Michael. Just announced, too, by the way, at the arena, Cody Johnson, March 28th. So that's a great concert. That'll be sold out. Raleigh Green, Alabama, Maroon 5, all those. Go to SimmonsBankArena.com for more information. Pulaski County Farm Bureau, Todd Dennis, Stephen Riker, thank you so much for your continued support of the Touchdown Club, delivering the Farm Bureau promise for 8 decades now, Pulaski County. War Memorial Stadium, which I'm sure you've called a few games. You've probably been on the sideline for a few games over 30 years at sometime at War Memorial Stadium. So John Latch, Mark Pike, Kevin Crass, and Shea Lewis, we appreciate them. The Arkansas Democrat Gazette, Wally Hall and Amanda Copley. Wally has really done some great articles for the Touchdown Club this year. Saw him in the press box this week at Fayetteville. And Amanda, thank you so much. We'll have an All-Arkansas Preps Player of the Week. And, boy, he's impressive running back. The numbers are crazy. 103.7 The Buzz. Our CEO is here, Terry Mahan. I love this, Holly. So when she found out, her granddaughter and grandson found out that you were coming, Emma, age 13, Oliver, age 11, they go, we want to go see Miss Holly because they are big softball fans. We won't hold it against them that they're Tennessee softball fans, but they're there, and great to have both of you there. And great, you got a great grandmama getting you out of school. Good lesson. That's a great grandma. You'll remember this about 30 years from now that grandma got you out. Great to have my buddy Roger Scott, who is the most talented guy in the business in the country, and Josh Neighbors, who also helped produce some of your shows at Sirius. He's here today as well. So thanks to 103.7 The Buzz. Also want to thank AY Media, AY Magazine, Arkansas Money and Politics, Heather Baker. Kelly Finglass loved the cover story on her last week. She was so blown away with it. Great job. You guys give us great coverage, and we appreciate that. Arkansas PBS, we're the only state in America, Holly, that our Touchdown Club has a relationship with their PBS affiliate. And Anita, Brian was up here, getting things set up yesterday. They go the extra mile. Kevin, Tanisha, thanks so much for doing a great job with us. We couldn't do it without you guys, Arkansas PBS. And JF Media and Marketing. We're now, in addition to Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, we're also in TikTok. I know, don't worry about the Chinese. It's okay. It's okay. So apparently whatever Kelly Finglass did last week, it was big. And Holly said, I'm game. I'll do a TikTok. I don't know what it was, but you did it. So you're a kind soul. But thanks to JF Media and Marketing. Our great Doubletree Hotel, even though we're not here, we'll be back next week. We appreciate them. Sunbelt Convention Services, Tim Glasscock, Rockstar Passes, Brad Rickett, and Joey Gonzalez. And our new sponsors, Midtown Plumbing, You know, they're based in Benton. Haley and Jim Coleman. Kyle Jackson was at the Justin Moore big fundraiser that raised $200,000 for the Boys and Girls Club. And thank you guys for doing the extra, going the extra mile, doing more. You got the water to Justin's sign and pulling. God bless you guys for doing that. Midtown Plumbing is great. And also, too, Arkansas Surgical Hospital is another new sponsor. They got a 30-second spot they want you to see. Anita, if you could hit that real quick. Let's take a look at that. If you have a doctor, say you want to have your surgery there, Dr. Lori Bacon is here, their ER doctor. Great to have Lori. I'm not sure where you're at, but great to have you here, Arkansas Surgical Hospital. And also, too, our last new sponsor, Arkansas Spine and Pain, Dr. Amir Qureshi. We appreciate him. Great doctor, 6 different cities, Benton, Jacksonville, Conway, Little Rock, Searcy, and Whitehall. We appreciate them, Arkansas Spine and Pain Center of Excellence. A round of applause for all of our great sponsors. We got the best sponsors in America. We can't do it without them. Dwayne Duncan, who was down taking pictures before the meeting, he'll be taking pictures after. Kelly Finglass could not believe that we got through all those pictures as fast as we did. And I haven't said it yet, but Holly has something very special going on after this meeting somewhere in Arkansas. You'll hear about it later. It's going to be really cool. It's a really cool connection. But one of the important things is that we get everybody's pictures so Holly can move on and do that. So I can't do it without Dwayne. We appreciate him and his hard work. He's the best. Chris Kane, RJ Hawk, Steve Sullivan at KTV, Steve Qualls, Design Labs, and Davis Ford, who helps with our setup every week. And, of course, led by Debbie Wyman. And we have probably 20 volunteers, Holly, that we can, no other touchdown club in America has 20 volunteers that show up at 8 o'clock on a Monday or Tuesday and set up and check everybody in. They don't get paid anything. Let's give a big round of applause to all of our volunteers. They're the best. They're the best. Nobody better. All right, this time, R.J. Hawk, who celebrated his 40th birthday in Vegas. He's struggling a little bit today, just got back last night. He's not moving near as fast, but he's got our All-Arkansas Preps Player of the Week. State Representative R.J. Hawk, everybody.
Boy, I get called out 2 weeks in a row by Basil. Thanks. No, hey, you know what? We've got a great player this week. And, you know, every week we talk about where they come from or their accomplishments. Well, our player this week comes from Fort Smith Northside to be exact, and his name is Warren Bijou. Now, this is pretty impressive because 2 weeks ago against Rogers Heritage, he ran for 382 yards and 5 touchdowns in a 41-40 loss. We got to get you a defense, man. But in that game, he set a school record, and he also set a 7A conference rushing record in that game against Rogers Heritage. So I said, well, what'd you do the next week? I mean, if you did that, he goes, man, I was down a little bit. He goes, I got pulled from the game. I said, what for? He said, bad shoulder, went down. I said, well, what'd you do? We'll talk about it anyways. He goes, well, in one half, he goes, I ran for 142 yards and a half before I left the game. So really in 6 quarters, he's run for 524 yards in 6 quarters and set 2 records, a school record and a conference record. His mom's here with him. They drove all the way from Fort Smith. Your All-Arkansas Preps Player of the Week is Warren Bijou from Fort Smith Northside.
All right. How about coming all the way from Fort Smith? Great to have y'all here. Thank you. He's worthy to make all, and listen, you're going to be blown away by Holly Rowe. So y'all, what a great meeting it is for you to be here. By the way, if you weren't here last week, I told in front of Kelly Finglass Holly, I said that when we made the announcement that Kelly Finglass was coming to speak, RJ said, well, great, we'll sell about 100 or 200 tickets. Sold a lot more than that. And so I mentioned that at the podium last week, and I've never said RJ turned as red as he did. I love RJ too. All right, the new Dallas Cowboy cheerleader who has our recap for the weekend, Rex Nelson, everybody. Give it up for Rex.
David, I regret to inform you that my career as the first male Dallas Cowboy cheerleader was very short-lived. The hot pants were a little tight when I tried them on, and I tried to practice my first high kick and pulled a muscle. So I resigned. I have resigned. I am sorry. So we will stick to these recaps. Now, Holly, I'm under a contractual obligation to David. I've got to cover every game in the state. So the way we treat these Razorback games is like a bitter-tasting medicine. We just drink it down real fast. So here we go. Auburn, 33, Arkansas, 24. Another fourth quarter lead gone. Auburn rallies from an 11-point halftime deficit, just maddening, and ends a 4-game losing streak, and Hugh Freeze is safe for at least one more week. A lot of Sunday firings this year, aren't there? It was Auburn's 5th consecutive road win in this series, though. Road teams seem to do very well in this series. Auburn goes to 4-4 overall, 1-4 in the SEC, but get this, Auburn is now 11-5 at Razorback Stadium, coming into Fayetteville and winning. So the Hogs fall to 2-6, 0-4, season lows of 331 total yards and just 63 rushing yards. Taylon Green had his worst game of the year, 3 interceptions in the fourth quarter. Auburn dominated time of possession, 37-40 to 22-20. So let's move on. We're moving on because ASU, I just looked up, a 3-game winning streak. A 3-game winning streak suddenly for the Red Wolves, 34-24 over Georgia Southern. That brings the record now to 4-4 after that. I mean to 4-4 after that 1-4 start. 3-1 in conference though. ASU trailed that game 21-10 late in the second quarter. It's the first 3-game winning streak there in a couple of years. The Red Wolves had 482 yards of offense, 266 of that came on the ground. UCA falls to 3-5 overall, 2-2 in conference after losing at West Georgia. They have a good team. They're 6-3. Final was 18-17. This one hurt because UCA had a 14-3 halftime lead. But get this number. West Georgia outgained the Bears 159-22 in the fourth quarter. So fourth quarter domination for West Georgia. UAPB also falls. 3-5 now. 1-3 in the SWAC. A 31-14 loss at Bethune-Cookman. So let's move on to the Great American Conference. Ouachita wins its 4th consecutive GAC game. All 4 of those victories have been by more than 20-point margins. Southern Arkansas came in 6-1. They came in ranked number 25 in the country, and they left Cliff Harris Stadium with a 42-14 loss. I was telling you about this new Ouachita freshman quarterback last week, David, Trey Nichols. He has now played 11 quarters of college football. In those 11, true freshman, in those 11 quarters, he has 932 yards of offense, personally, passing and rushing. Ouachita has outscored its opponents 115-31 in those 11 quarters of football. Number 2, Harding rolls on. Number 2 in the nation still, an NCAA Division II, could very well win another national championship. 55-0 this time over 2-6 UAM. We've gotten used to Harding putting in the subs at halftime. This time around, it was 34-0 Harding at halftime. Arkansas Tech and Henderson, both 5-3. following Tech's 17-6 win on a rainy homecoming afternoon in Russellville over the Reddies of Hendricks. And our two Division III schools played each other. It was Hendricks 38, Line 21. Hendricks now 4-3 overall, 2-1 in conference. Line is 1-5 and 0-3. All right, let's move on to the SEC, rest of the SEC. We now know, by the way, Holly, for sure, one of our speakers for next year, Brian Kelly, will be speaking to the Little Rock Touchdown Club. David's very good at getting fired coaches. I mean, we had Jimbo Fisher a couple of years ago, and I said, David, are you really having to pay him? He should be paying us for giving him a reason to get out of the house with all that money. I feel the same. Maybe Coach Kelly will pay us just for an excuse to get out of the house with all that money now. But the game Holly did, she sees the Aggies off to their best start since 1992. They had lost at Tiger Stadium 6 consecutive times coming into the game, and as you saw, it wasn't even close, 49-25 the final there. Meanwhile, don't look now, but Alabama, remember everybody writing them off after the season opener? Alabama has now won 7 consecutive games, came from 8 down late to beat South Carolina by a final score of 29-22. And how about the Commodores of Vanderbilt? 7-1 overall now. I love this story. 3-1 in conference. Anchor down, folks. It's best start since 1941. 17-10 over Missouri. Ole Miss 34. OU 26 is Trinidad Chambliss. Again, a Division II quarterback last year. Throws for 315 yards and a touchdown in the Rebel victory over Oklahoma. Those were some of the highlights. So we are set up for a very fun November in the SEC. Listen to this. You've got A&M and Alabama, both 5-0. Ole Miss and Georgia, both 4-1. Vanderbilt and Texas, both 3-1. Tennessee's 3-2. Missouri, Oklahoma, and Florida 2-2. LSU 2-3. Auburn 1-4. South Carolina 1-5. Arkansas and Mississippi State 0-4. Kentucky 0-5. Still dominating the Associated Press poll. Aggies are number 3, Alabama number 4, Georgia number 5, Ole Miss number 7, Vanderbilt number 9, Tennessee number 14, Oklahoma number 18, Missouri number 19, Texas number 20, and Arkansas looking toward the future. We'll have a new coach, and one of these days I'll be listing the Hogs in that top 25. This week, lots of choices, and guess what? The forecast this week, David, sunny with a high around 63 degrees. Perfect football weather. So you have no excuse. Mississippi State at Arkansas. Somebody's got to win a conference game, don't they, among those two? Somebody's going to win, Michael. Mississippi State at Arkansas. Eastern Kentucky at UCA. Southern University at UAPB, Northwestern Oklahoma at Ouachita, Oklahoma Baptist at Harding, Southern Nazarene at Arkansas Tech, Southwestern Oklahoma at UAM, Centenary at Hendricks. It's like Christmas morning, David. There's a game in Fayetteville. There are 2 in Conway. There's a game in Pine Bluff, a game in Arkadelphia, a game in Searcy, a game in Russellville, and a game in Monticello. So you know what that means? You have no excuse. Get out and see a college football game on Saturday. Thanks, everybody.
Woo! Ah, goodness. It's a lot. We might need to have an EMT here in the room. Just got to thinking about that. Thank you, Rex. Before we bring Holly up, do you want to recognize some special guests? I know we have Miss White River, Cameron Ross. Cameron, great to have you. Let's give it up for Cameron Ross, Miss White River. We have Chris Babb, the advisor at the Ouachita Sports Digital Network Student Sports Media Program with several of his students. Let's welcome them. Please stand wherever you are, Chris and students. Where you at? Where you at? There you go. Great to have them when they heard Holly was speaking. Great to have you ladies and Chris. Also, Molly Harrell, the granddaughter of Coach Brules, the current executive director of the Brules Award. She's here. Got a chance to, yes, give her a round of applause. So she asked Holly today if Holly would be a future voter for the Brules Award, and Holly said yes. Of course, how about that? Very nice. So Holly actually was covering games back when Coach Brules was the AD. Small connection here. So I started the award 30 years ago, and I was in Atlanta probably about 15, 20 years ago, and your good friend Maria Taylor was there. And I went up to Maria and I said, would you be a voter for the Brules Award? And at that time, she was the first woman voter we'd ever had. And of course, she's moved on doing pro stuff, and I know how much you think about her, your relationship. But it's so cool to have you being a voter with your connection. Of course, Lavelle Edwards was one of our voters too. Love Coach Edwards. He was such a great guy. But so great to have you on the Brules Award voting committee, and always great to have Molly here at the meeting. Also, we want to recognize he made the trip in, just rolled in. He's in the back corner. He'll be with his mother today as she does something very special. We've just got to tease it. We can't give the details. But Holly's son, McKylan Rowe, is in the back. McKylan, stand up. Let's give him a round of applause. Welcome to Little Rock, McKylan. Great for you to be here. So great. Listen, what a great relationship you have with your son. You know, when you were battling cancer, y'all were together. I tell you, I got to be careful. I get emotional. I start getting emotional everything I say. Last week, I couldn't even get through the deal. But I love the fact that he's here to be a part of what you're doing special today. So, McKylan, great to have you here. All right, let's take a look at this great intro by our man Steve Sullivan over at KTV, and we'll bring our guest of honor up today.
Getting paid to watch sports. Have we picked that up yet? I am getting paid to go to games. It is the biggest scam in the history of the world.
It's hard not to appreciate Holly Rowe's success story. After graduating from Utah with a journalism degree in 1991, she spent the next 4 years feverishly chasing her dream. In 1995, she landed a spot with ESPN. And 3 years later, she was a full-time sideline reporter. That marked the start of a remarkable run at ESPN. Holly has done it all. ABC Saturday Night Football, NCAA Women's Final Four and College World Series. She's done play-by-play announcing for women's college basketball, softball, volleyball, and gymnastics, as well as covering soccer, swimming, track and field, and Little League baseball and softball for ESPN. In 2021, Rowe made Utah Jazz history as the team's first female color commentator.
Getting more defensive attention from opponents. You're getting blitz. You're getting doubled. Tell me how you're getting your threes differently this year and what you like about how you've overcome that.
Holly is part of the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. Talented, versatile, and always full of positive energy. Holly Rowe is proof that you can live your dreams. Please welcome the sports siren, ESPN's Holly Rowe.
All right, so great to have you back in Central Arkansas on the bus this morning. We talked about you being here for the, I think the tournament, the women's tournament, NCAA tournament was being held over at the Jack Stevens Arena.
Yes, we did that a few years ago. Gosh, it's probably almost 10 years ago now. Elena Deladon was one of the most famous players in the country at that time, and she played there in that tournament.
That's right.
So we spent about a week here, and it was a blast.
You also spoke to the Tip-Off Club, Rex, over there in North Little Rock. That was 10 or 13 years ago. Yeah. And so great to have you back. And so I've been, 2 years I've been trying to track you down. You were busy. I sometimes with Roger, we talk about how busy we are, but you stay on the go. I don't want to say your age because they say that's appropriate. I'll just say you and I are around the same age. I'm a little bit older than you, but you continue to grind. And one of the reasons you continue to grind because you love sports. You love your job. Sully mentioned you get paid, but even on days off, you love to watch sports and be involved with sports.
I do. I just grew up being obsessed with sports. I went to my first college football game when I was 5 years old, BYU, and I was lucky to grow up in an era where BYU football had the cream of the crop offensively. Jim McMahon, Steve Young, Gifford Nielsen, all these great quarterbacks. And so I was lucky, but now when I have a day off, this is a sickness, and I really am trying to work on this, but I'll have a day off at home and I'll be like, what game could I go to? So like, that's what I do with my spare time, is go to games when I'm not working.
So I think going back, we have to go back, and one of the things I enjoy about doing this, I get to research and find out about family. And so your dad, Dale Rowe, he was a unique guy, and I think, Anita, if we've got a picture, number 2, that's a young version of your dad, a little bit older. And so it was amazing what he did. You had 4 sisters, right, and one brother. But your dad you grew up in a Mormon family in Bountiful, Utah. But your dad was amazing at what he did. He grew up on a sheep farm, and I mean, the things that he did in school were amazing. But talk about the leadership and the impression that your dad had on you.
Okay, I love that you've done this research. No one has ever asked. Everyone thinks my dad is a former Penn State football player named Dave Rowe. And I have met Dave. He is this big, giant man, and he doesn't have any daughters, but he said he would claim me. He's proud of me. But my dad was 5'3". He was this little tiny man, and he grew up on a farm, a sheep farm in Manti, Utah. And he was, I think, the world's most interesting man, which is why I am probably a very curious person. So my dad was a jockey. He lettered in 9 different things in high school. He ended up going to the University of Utah on a boxing scholarship, and he played in the band. He was a trumpet player, and he just was interested in everything. And so I think I'm like my dad a lot. I'm built just like him, unfortunately, 5'3" with the shoulders of a linebacker. But he was just an awesome man. Unfortunately, he passed away, but this is one sweet story I'll tell you. When I was young, I went to football games with my dad, and I really am in football because of my father. And we had a chance. We went to the BYU football game. It was this Holiday Bowl. They played Penn State and just got their ass kicked. And then we were going to go up to Disneyland, but we ran into some fans that were going to the Rose Bowl and had some extra tickets. So my dad and I slept out on the parade route in our car. The rest of the family was back in the hotel at Disneyland, but I chose to go to college football with my dad. And then we walked over to the Rose Bowl game. And I don't know, that it was Washington played Michigan in that Rose Bowl game. And then about 15 years later, I got to work the Rose Bowl, and I took my dad. And it was probably the greatest college football game ever played, Texas, USC. And I was on the Texas sideline with Vince Young, and it was Keith Jackson's last game. And I got to take my dad and my son to the Rose Bowl all those many years later. So that was a really cool full circle moment.
Very, very nice. You know, I heard one of the interviews that I was listening to that you mentioned that your dad, when you were very young, he would meet with you. I guess he met with all the girls and have a progress journal.
Yes.
And so that's amazing. At a young age, your dad would sit down and go through goals and things. Is that right? Did I hear that progress journal?
Every Sunday night we did a personal progress report. And, you know, at the time I was like, this is psycho. And even looking back now, I'm like, that was psycho. But I really believe it has helped make me the person I am. I still write out my goals. I have an old-fashioned day planner. I write out all my goals. I will check them off very proudly. And I think that came from my parents, is I got held accountable every Sunday night, 6 p.m. at my house. I had to go through what I was doing in my life with my dad and stay on track. And I think that was really important. I don't think I've done a good job. McKylan, have I? I don't think we've done a good job with that. But he is a very driven young, no, I was not as good of a mother as my father was. But, you know, finding a way to be motivated is hard. But my dad helped me be motivated. And I think I'm driven and a hard worker and a high achiever because my dad held me accountable as a kid.
I think that's really good. So all the young people in here, I want you to really lock in for this next 5 minutes. So I found this amazing about your story. So you decide to go to school, first of all, at BYU. Mm-hmm. You end up transferring to Utah, and you knew what you wanted to do early in life. Not everybody has that. I love this. If we'll go to photo number 3, in 5th grade, you were asked what you want to do for a living, and you recognize Shelly Thomas there?
Shelly, So this was my hero. I wanted to grow up and be like her.
So in the 5th grade, your teacher said, what do you want to do? And the careers were nothing that had to do with TV. And you go, I want to be like Shelley Thomas.
Yes.
And so from there, so you knew pretty much what you wanted to do. So you go to BYU, transfer to Utah. You weren't the best student.
No.
But that's okay. Nothing the matter with that. You started working your way through, and I love, you started taking courses in sports to enhance who you were. You knew what you wanted to do, but talk about the process of you creating your path of what you wanted.
So when I got to the University of Utah, they didn't really have a sports media program. You guys are so lucky now that you have these sports broadcasting classes. And so I just cobbled together kind of a minor for myself where I took coaching football, coaching basketball, sports law, sports psychology, sports ethics. And I just kind of made up my own minor that was broadcast journalism. And then I took all these sports classes. And I wasn't a great student because I was so poor. And like when I tell you, I really struggled to get through college. My parents, looking back, we were probably solid middle class. My dad was an attorney and he worked for himself his whole career. So when we had clients, we had money. When we didn't have clients, we went a long time without money. So I had to like donate plasma. I mean, I was poor.
Clean buildings?
I hope so. But I would have generic flaked mashed potatoes with ketchup. That's what I lived on in college because it was like 99 cents a box. But so I struggled. I would go to college for 6 months and I would have to take off 6 months and work a job to earn enough money to pay my tuition. So I sometimes look at student athletes and I'm like, you guys are so lucky you have scholarships. But anyway, I cobbled together those classes, and I think what it did for me is I have a really broad knowledge of sports coming out of college because I really tailored my education to that.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I mean, so it took you 6 years to get your degree, and even when you walked across to get your diploma, you still were not official because there was one class you didn't pass. But you took 6 years because you were working all these different jobs. And then you were also trying to figure out, how do I get to where I want to go? And I think one time you noticed that BYU did not have a sideline reporter. So you reached out to say, and I don't know who the person you was that you reached out to, I guess the SID for BYU. He goes, okay, right?
Yeah, so I got a job working for what was called the Blue and White Sports Network. I don't know if anyone here ever remembers this, but we would syndicate BYU and Air Force football games to 63 stations around the country in small communities that might have an Air Force base or a high Mormon population. And so I was their affiliate relations coordinator, and I would get all the stations to cover the games, and then they would let me do the games. And one game, ABC came in and took the game. You know how ABC will pick up a game. And I noticed in the game notes, they had 2 announcers listed, but no sideline reporter. And so I still to this day don't know how I had this courage, but I called the producer for ABC that was going to produce that game. And I said, I'm prepped and ready to do this BYU-Utah game. I know the coaches, I know the players. I'm ready to do this game. And he said, okay. And what I figured out was ABC had a pecking order. Like Keith Jackson was A, Dan Fouts, down the line, and this was like a D-level game. Well, I started to figure out the system that other D-level games did not have a sideline reporter. So the next week, I called that same producer back, and he said, I said, what game do you guys have this week? And he said, San Diego State at San Jose State.
This is my favorite story. So listen to this, what you did here. This is so cool. This is my favorite story.
Yeah, so I said, oh, San Diego State with Marshall Faulk at San Jose? That's so crazy. I'm going to be in San Jose. What a strange coincidence. And he's like, well, do you want to work the game? And I said, yes. And then I had to figure out a way to get to San Jose because, of course, I was not going to be in San Jose. So I did that for a couple of weeks. And what I didn't realize is those games were on a satellite system back to New York City. And so the producers in New York City saw my work, and the next college football season hired me full time.
How about that? And now she is a Hall of Fame broadcaster. So I love all the different speeches you've given. By the way, I'm going to encourage everybody, every young person in here, Watch her 2025, I guess it was this spring, commencement speech at the University of Utah. It is the best commencement speech I've ever heard. You get some great advice. But I love the fact that I think the term you gave in a couple of your interviews, reckless courage.
Yeah.
Reckless courage.
Because you don't, I think a lot of us are scared, like, well, I don't know if my hair's right, or I don't know if my resume is perfect. And I think we spend a lot of time wondering about the things that we aren't, instead of focusing on the things that we are. And what I am is, you said it, like, I'm fun. I think I can do a fun broadcast. I think we put out fun stories on the air. You should have fun when you're watching our shows. I think I'm fair. I think I'm balanced. And I think I really know football and really know sports because I've spent my life in it. So I am proud of that. But there's a lot of things I'm not. And I just have to focus on the things I am and live in those spaces and do it with great confidence.
You have been, yeah, that's worth a round of applause. Please, let's do it again. Let's give it up. So you cover all these sports. I mean, for 30 years now. You've been with ESPN for 30 years, which is amazing. And you think about it from, as I mentioned, from football to basketball to softball to volleyball to soccer, and even beyond that. So I love this about you, though. So, most people, I heard this in one of your interviews, once you've reached the big time, which you've reached, you could say, all I'm doing is football, or all I'm doing is basketball. But you feel it's important to continue promoting the sports which you love. And that means you work around the year. Talk about that. There's some people, once you're making big money, you don't have to be doing some of these sports as you do, but you love it, and it makes a big deal. When Holly Rowe shows up, it means it's a big deal.
Well, I love that you say that, because in my profession, I have seen many, many people, and there's nothing wrong with this, but I've just seen a lot of people, they might start out covering women's sports, and then they think when they've made it, they don't do women's sports anymore. And I have really, literally killed myself. I mean, I drive through the night. I just got done with the WNBA playoffs. I was doing 4 games a week for the last 6 weeks because I want to do the WNBA playoffs. And I'm going to kill myself to get from Saturday night college football. Thank you. I'm going to kill myself to get from Saturday night college football to a game at noon on Sunday for the playoffs because I care about it. So I'm really proud. I've never given up my women's sports. I think I'm really one of the only people, maybe Beth Mowens at ESPN, we're the only 2 who have ascended in our male sports, and we've never given up our women's sports, and I'm really proud of that.
Yeah. And I think, so everybody in this room, especially the young people, I think the thing you take away, so you see what drive does. She is driven. She has reasons by why she is driven, but when you're tired, this week, like even yesterday, to drive 5 hours, you were driven, and this is what you're going to do. Also, preparation. Your preparation is outstanding. You can't do what you do without great preparation. And now you're doing the best of the best, the highest of the highest. You've interviewed every amazing person, every athlete, every coach. But this was something that happened a couple weeks ago, that even when you're the best, you're a Hall of Famer, you're in the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame, these kind of things can happen. If you can, Anita, let's go to the number 4. This happened at Florida State, Miami, just a few weeks ago.
Oh, dear.
So the great thing, several things to unpack on that. First of all, you kept the mic in your hand as your feet were going over your head. You pop up, and when they come to you, you're ready to talk about the players. They're ready to talk about you. They finally have to interrupt you, Holly. So to talk about that crazy moment.
Yeah, it was so funny because I just was prepared to still give my report. I didn't even know I was on camera or that they were showing any of that, because I'm just listening to Kirk and Chris. And so I had this great report on Akeem Messidor and Ruben Bain, who I think are the two best defensive ends in college football right now for Miami. They are crushing people. And I was all excited to do this report on them. And then I realized, oh, they're talking about me right now. So you never want to be the story. But I was proud. I didn't drop the mic. I popped right back up. But I gave Michael Irvin a lot of shit for that because I was like, bro, like you got it. But after I see the replay, he got wiped out before me. So I forgive him. I forgive him.
So, too, over your career, you've interviewed during the game, you actually have several things. You have a pregame. You have a halftime, you have a post-game, and you have an in-game. I mean, it's crazy what part of the agreements it is with coaches. I wanted to ask your opinion about all those access points and if the coaches love it. And then also the fact that you look at some of the coaches that you've interviewed. Anita, number 5 and number 6. I mean, you've interviewed this guy so often. Nick Saban, who was so supportive of you and his wife through your cancer battles. You have Gino Ariema. Number 7, right? I mean, these are the greatest coaches. And then the next one, Caitlin Clark, maybe the greatest female basketball player of all time. What's it like to be in the battle when they're in there fighting and you have to make sure and get in there and deliver what you need to do?
It's a really interesting dynamic, and you guys have seen it over the years. You've seen good sideline interviews where it goes really well, and then sometimes it doesn't. And, there's definitely been coaches that I was nervous, at halftime. They get so frustrated or so in their zone, and it can go very wrong. But showing Coach Saban is interesting. I loved interviewing Coach Saban, and here's why. He would actually tell me real stuff. I would really prepare very hard so that I didn't ask dumb questions. I mean, we've all asked dumb questions. I am no exception. I've got my share of dumb questions where you're like, oh, that did not come out right. But Coach Saban, if I asked the right questions, I would just get these unbelievable stories. And one of my favorites was LSU went in there a couple of years ago, and LSU was terrible. It was Ed Orgeron's last year before he got fired. And the opening drive of the game, they throw a long bomb, and LSU comes down and scores to take a 7-0 lead to start the game. So at halftime going off, I talked to Coach Saban, like, what went wrong on that play? And he's like, well, blah, blah, blah. And he kind of gives me an answer about what went wrong on the play. And he's like, well, we've made some changes. And I said, well, what changes? I asked her just a short, really good follow-up question, what changes? And he's like, well, we had to fire a guy. And sure enough, they changed the corner. That corner did not play there again. So that's good information, right? But I had to follow up and press him a little bit on it, and I thought that was a good example. My other favorite one, I'll just tell you briefly, was at that national championship game. Mac Brown, they're down, they're losing to USC at halftime. Mac Brown's walking off the field, and he says something, I ask a question, he says something about, blah, blah, blah. I mean, we just stunk. And my follow-up question, and to this day, it is still my favorite follow-up question ever, I just simply said, what stunk? I wanted to get more information about what was going wrong. And in retrospect, I'm like, I don't even know if that was the proper tense. What stank, what stinked, stunk, stinks. I was like, that might have been improper grammar I just said in my biggest game of my life. But I wanted him to describe more what stunk. And then he went on to give a good answer so then we could pay attention to those things in the second half. So when they turned around for Texas and they ended up winning the national championship game, that was good information, right? So my whole goal is to get good information for the viewer at home so you feel like you're in on the secret. You feel like you're in on the coverage of, oh, well, I'm going to watch that corner now because who'd they replace that kid with and how's he doing? I want you guys to have those inside secrets while you're watching the game. So, yeah, very nice. Well said. So in my research, too, I mean, you've interviewed everybody. Everybody. I mean, from Michael Jordan to LeBron, I mean, all the coaches. And I think in my research it said, I think you said,
the one person that to you was the most important to you because of what she represented, because you said she was the first woman that you had seen on TV that dressed a certain way and acted a certain way, but the great Pat Summitt. Just talk about why you felt that she was so impactful for you.
So I've tried to really unpack this psychology, but as I look back on it, so I'm going to tell you this part first. I had a really hot boyfriend, and he was Mr. Switzerland bodybuilder. We dated for 4 years, and when I say smoking hot, and the reason we broke up was we were at the ESPYs, and Pat Summitt had just gotten this award, the Arthur Ashe Courage Award, because she'd just been diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's. And I'm in the audience, and I'm just bawling at the ESPYs, and he asked me, "What's wrong with you? She's just a coach." And so we broke up. So I just need you to understand, I gave up Mr. Switzerland because of Pat Summitt. This is a true story. And so I've tried to figure out, why does she mean so much to me? And it's because she was the first woman I saw on TV being fierce and competitive and feminine. So, I grew up, I just wanted to be a boy so bad when I was growing up because boys got to play football. You've seen, I have 100 bad haircut photos because I just wanted to be a boy and play football. Well, boys didn't play football in my era, or girls didn't play football. I wish I had been more strong and tried to play football, because we see young women doing that now, and I'm really grateful for that. But Pat was the first woman that was really a role model to a lot of us, because she was excellent, she was feminine, she was stomping around in high heels, her hair was perfect, her makeup was perfect, but she was competitive. And I was such a psychotically competitive person, and I still am. Like, I have probably raced some of you at the airport. I'm sure you've seen it. Like, I am a psychotic competitive person. But she made it seem like that was okay, and that girls could be competitive, and it was okay if women were competitive. And so I got to know her over the years very well. I interviewed her quite a bit. We got to be very close friends. In fact, Pat Summitt introduced me. I grew up as a Mormon, but Pat introduced me to Camus wine and moonshine. This is a true story. I had orange moonshine in Pat Summitt's kitchen for the first time in my life, and that was interesting.
Yeah, that's outstanding. I know that you the word competitive. I know that's the thing, the quality that I think you love and that you found. And I think that's what, when you've been asked what's the trait in all these great coaches and players, is being competitive.
Absolutely. I think my greatest traits as a human is I'm super curious. Like, I'm so curious about everything. Yeah. And then I am really competitive. Now McKylan, this is bad, right? Like, he's been embarrassed for me many a time. Like, Mom, calm down. Truth. Because I just am like, we got to get there. We got to go here. Like, I've had to learn about the airport. Like, I just want to, and he's like, can we just calm down? I don't know that he likes to travel with me anymore because of it, but I think it served me well. Life is competitive. I think all of you can agree. And when it really served me well was I started going through some really serious cancer treatments, and I was struggling. It ended up going to my lung, had inoperable tumors in my lung, and the doctor said to me, you need to start thinking about how you're spending your time. And that was, like, now I look back on that moment and I realize he was telling me, I don't know how much of it you have left. Stage 4 is the worst. And I don't think I even understood at that time that I was dying. But I was. And I'm very lucky. Immunotherapy has saved my life. But I would close my eyes and think, okay, what am I going to do? How am I going to spend my time? And I decided I just wanted to be with my family and go to games. And that's how I was already living my life. That's who I am. And so I think, I would be competitive. Like, I got to get to this game. And I was bald. How am I going to get to this game? I had to wear a wig. You saw Wanda, my wig. She was absolutely hideous in several of those footage. Yeah, yes. I called her Wanda. Oh, my God. She was such a wench. I hated her. This is a true story. So 11 days before the college football season in I think it was 2018, I found out that my cancer had spread again, and it was a deadly diagnosis. And I didn't tell ESPN because I knew they would not let me work. So I didn't tell anybody. I had a lung biopsy with a needle this big. You have to be awake while they put it in your chest so that you can obey breathing commands. And 11 days later, I worked a college football game, but I was bald. And so I got that wig, and I was like, I've got to go to this Texas football practice on Friday, but it's 106 degrees, and I cannot wear Wanda. And, you know, it was a closed practice, and I thought, well, nobody will see me. So I put my hat on, I was totally bald, and I went to practice just in time to meet Matthew McConaughey, the world's sexiest man. So I had a really crazy period, but my competitive spirit of like, I'm gonna get to this game. No one's gonna tell me I can't work this game. I really think it helped me.
Yeah, I know it has to be fatiguing because, you know, you have to talk about it all the time because everybody asks you about your battle with cancer. And for those who don't know, it was, as you mentioned, stage 4. And the type of skin cancer that it was, the survival rate was only, 22%. And this is what I have so much respect for her. You know, I try to work hard. Yeah, we get emotional again. That's coming. You worked for 4 years while going through treatment. 4 years. I think I read you had a surgery that you removed like 20 plus lymph nodes and you had, you know, bags hanging off, and you were still going to work. That you've only missed one game, like one game in your entire career. So what a work ethic that you showed while going through that. But that goes back to the joy part. You know, the other thing I loved is that you created a joy journal, is that you started realizing if life is short, I'm going to start writing down all the things that I enjoy, that are joyful. And so what you found is that so many times we rush through life and we just don't enjoy the little things. And I think that's a great lesson of your joy journal.
Yeah, so when I was in this dark place and, you know, I was in chemo for 4 years, you know, getting infusions and all this stuff, and it was really hard. But I found that what made me happy kept me going, and that was often sports and getting to these games. And I started thinking, I can't control anything that's happening with my body. I keep having more and more surgeries and more spreads. And like, you're right, I went to work with tubes sewn into my body for my fluid to drain. And I remember going through TSC with this bag of fluid around my neck at TSA, and they didn't stop me. I flew many times with that, and I'm like, gosh, I didn't get checked once for this, you know, these tubes in my body. But anyway, that's crazy. But I found that I had to keep going and find fun stuff, right? So I say this often, but I really mean it, and I hope I don't cry either, because it's hard to say sometimes, but I felt like I was living better when I was dying because everything washed away. You know, all these little things that we worry about, like, oh my gosh, what outfit am I wearing? I don't know if these pants look right. What will my coworkers think? All those little things that run through our head that we're stressed about, I just didn't care anymore. The politics at work, all the things that get you down in the course of a day that you think about, you know, your worry points. I didn't care. I was just trying to get to my chemo and get to my game and be with my son. And so I started trying to do, you know, some people might call it a bucket list, but I just tried to find things every day that I could do that were fun. I mean, I started a band. You know, I did a lot of fun, crazy stuff because if I could feel joy every day when I was so sick, that helped get me through my day. So I would write down on my joy journal, today, this made me happy. Like what my joy journal will be for today is when I walked in that door, oh, I'm gonna cry. I walked in that door today and you all stood up for me. That was beautiful. So that's gonna be in my joy journal today. But why I do that is because I think that I'm struggling to still live that way. Now that I'm getting healthier, I just had clean scans in September. My health is going well. Thank you. I just got moved into a survivorship program, which is really important for me. So I want to try to teach all of us, how can we tap into our joyful side? So I'm going to share one little thing about this. So when we leave today, can we all promise you'll keep this secret, okay? So my son and I started the Joyous Foundation of trying to help people live with joy and be a little bit more intentional about our joy. So we have awarded a scholarship to a little gal that's going through cancer. She doesn't know it yet. We are going to drive out there today. She's in Arkansas somewhere, and we're driving out to award her a $10,000 scholarship to help her. So hopefully we are going to bring some joy to her and her family that they're really struggling with medical bills. And hopefully our $10,000 is going to go to help her get her port out so she can play college softball. Yeah.
And did you know, back to that point, that wasn't, all this came together that you were coming here to do that. That wasn't part of...
This was not planned. So I always I just feel like the universe and God has something planned special. So, you and I have been in contact for 2 years, and finally the date worked out, and, the WNBA playoffs were over, so I could come at this time. And then we got our scholarship applications, and I have a board of people that are voting on these. It's not just me. And they voted for this young woman, and she just happens to be in Arkansas. And so we get to be here. My son and I will drive out there and present her with this in person today. Her family's coming. She doesn't know that. And we're going to surprise her. And, I just feel like the universe blesses you when you are trying to help people be joyful.
How cool is that? Very nice. All right, so we're going to I want to show one more picture. We'll wrap things up, and we'll do some pictures real quick so Holly can get on her way. But talking about how she's went through cancer treatment for 4 years and never missed work, I'm going to go back to the very beginning. Let's look at photo number 9,
I'm
Anita.
scared. What is this?
So this is you when you were covering early in your career. You would actually take McKylan to practices, and didn't matter. That's what you had to do. And
Yep.
And so this is like covering, I think, either one of the championship games or whatever.
Yeah.
But
this is fun. This is a cute story.
Yeah.
So this is the WAC championship game. BYU was playing Wyoming, and Steve Sarkisian was the quarterback for BYU.
Number 10, if you will, Anita.
Yeah.
We've actually got the shot. There's Steve Sarkisian. Look at there.
Look at that. And I really love this picture because, I was this is too much information, but I'll tell the ladies who are here. So when I got my first big break to work that ABC game, my son was 8 weeks old, and I was breastfeeding, and I was trying to get through a 5-hour football game without, stuff coming through my suit. So I have done my entire career. I'm very proud of this, and I'm grateful that I'm going to cry again. Oh, I've had to do my whole career as a mom. For 30 years, I have been working for ESPN, ABC. I have missed one game in 30 years on a college football Saturday one time because I got COVID, and I don't think that's my fault. That was the thing. But it's been hard on my family, and it's been hard on my son, and I'm grateful that you're here, McKylan, to share this with me because it's been a journey for both of us. But I am proud to be a working mom who has lived her dreams. And I know there's a lot of women in here, and I hope if I could go back and tell my young self, don't feel guilty for pursuing your dreams, because if you're happy and you're successful, that is going to teach your kids something valuable and important. Like, I would sew all his costumes for Halloween. I would host every party. I was the room mother for everything. I coached every team. He literally remembers none of that. And I'm so pissed off about that. Because I'm like, I was literally the world's best mother, but then I worked every weekend. And so I just want you to not feel guilty about doing the things that you love. If your kids feel loved and secure and that you're there for them. And so now I get to help him with his dreams. He's an actor. He was just in a movie, American Underdog, the good Kurt Warner show. I don't know if you guys have watched that, but he's got a part in that. So now I get to help him facilitate his dreams.
Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Holly Rowe, everybody. Great job, Holly. Outstanding. Woo-hoo!
Thank you.